Can someone please tell me that why, after I've had a gastroenterologist for 1 year, he just told me today that his specialty is not booty hole problems? That's a colorectal surgeon. So for the last 14 years that I've been complaining to doctors that I can't get shit out of my asshole without digging it out through my vagina, and they've been sending me to gastroenterologists who are telling me they don't see any problems, it's because those aren't the problems they look at. And this is just, we're just going to casually act like this is happening. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, can you refer me to a colorectal surgeon then? And you're going to say, well, it's going to take you about 2 years to get in. Why didn't you do that a year ago? As soon as you found I have evacuation issues, knowing you're not the evacuation guy? What? And then I asked him, hey, I asked the other gastroenterologist who did my colonoscopy for a mast cell tryptase stain in the biopsy, and I just checked my health thing, and it's not on there. And he said, well, they don't do that regularly. Like, the pathologist wouldn't just, like, do that test standard. And I was like, I know, that's why I requested it. And he was like, well, they won't do that test unless they see inflammatory cells. And I'm like, oh, I know, but I sent him this study and the paper that specifically showed that you will not see the inflammatory cells unless you do this specific stain. And he said, no, that's not a, they don't need to do that. So I just emailed him the study and said, please. But what? I also said, he also was like, yeah, it's just IBS and it might not have any dietary impact. It might just be just IBS. And I said, well, what about endometriosis? What about that? Could you see that if I had a colonoscopy? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, I had an ultrasound showed adenomyosis. Do you think that could explain the diarrhea symptoms? He's like, it could. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, cool. So I'm glad I know now that your job is not my butthole problem. You strictly deal with the diarrhea and not the butthole. That makes so much sense. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, actually. We should have one doctor for the piss and then one doctor for the bladder. I can't believe I've had this doctor for 1 year for no fucking reason. I waited how long to get in with him in the first place? And you're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's common. People often think that we deal with that, like that's rectum stuff. No. I just deal with the other part, the colon, the part up from there. Cool. What a great waste of my fucking time. Awesome. Why would no gastroenterologist ever tell me this every time I ask them questions about stuff that is a colorectal surgeon's specialty? I don't even understand. Even like me being 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 25, 27, going into a GP saying, hey, why do you get to shit on hands-free? Why do I have to wash my hands before and after I take a shit? Because I have to put my hands inside of my body to shit. And they're going to say to me, I don't see any problems here. Well, then send me to the person who looks at that type of problem. Like, what the fuck? If someone comes up to me and says, hey, Jess, how do I change the brakes on my fucking car? I'm not going to say your car brakes don't need to be changed. I'm going to say, I don't know. I don't know shit about that. But that's what a car person does, so go to the car person. If you want to know shit about making content, I can tell you that. I'll chat you up all day, but I can't help you with your fucking car problem. So stop coming here and asking about your car problem. What the fuck? I'm telling you, what? I'm saying, I have diarrhea. It's burning really bad. You can't figure out why I have diarrhea. You can't figure out why I have the cramping and the bloating in my small bowel and my colon. Okay, that's only half the fucking problem. So are we just gonna act like the other half doesn't exist, or you're hoping, what? Like if I have Crohn's or whatever, then... Is that a common thing with Crohn's? I mean, prolapse maybe? I don't know. Why? I just don't understand what any of these people were thinking. The only person who brought up a colorectal surgeon was Dr. Ali, the chief of the fucking ER at the Royal Columbian Hospital, because he said, has anyone ever talked to you about rectocele, which is prolapsed rectum? And I said, no, but I fucking looked into it a lot. And he said, you need to see a colorectal surgeon. And I said, I thank you. He's also the one who, as soon as I said, all the women in my family, I have really bad pelvic pain, diarrhea, blah, 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 blah. Every woman in my family has had a hysterectomy. He goes, have you ever been checked for endometriosis? I was like, no! But I've been doing a lot of research on that either, and none of the fucking doctors have brought that up either. So I said to this gastro that I talked to today, I was like, well, why do you say that? Because I had been referred, I got a referral to a colorectal, but it was crossed off on my referral list for some reason, and I was under the impression that that's what this doctor who did my colonoscopy might have done, and I asked him about it before I went under, and he said, oh yeah, we can look for stuff like that. And then he was like, yeah, no, he doesn't do stuff like that either, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Love that. I just can't, like, I'm trying to conceptualize why, if I'm saying to you, why would you not send me to the person who deals with those things? Like, you should know more about that than anyone else, right? Like any other specialty of doctor other than colorectal surgeon, you think a gastroenterologist, you're pretty close, you know? You gotta know some of the same stuff, a fair amount. Why wouldn't you send me there? What does that mean? You just don't believe me. What? Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know. Like, that's not our specialty. We just deal with like inflammatory bowel diseases and stuff, and you don't have that. Yeah. And your conclusion after my colonoscopy and endoscopy is you have IBS? That's your conclusion? You haven't asked about anything? You're not considering anyone else's specialty? You're not. That's why you didn't think of the other one either, right? I don't understand. I can't get poop out of my bum. Sucks. Why? I don't know, you guys. I'm really trying to rationalize why someone would do that. The third one I've seen. Do they just assume I know when complaining to them about those things that I don't know that they can't help? Is that it? What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know what the fuck. I'm so mad. So I should have been referred to a colorectal surgeon like 14 years ago. Okay, cool. Cool. It's funny when I find out these things, but I also just kind of am like, I wish I didn't know. Because now I'm just more pissed. You know what I mean? Like yeah. Love y'all.